Welcome back. So how's everyone doing with the practice schedule? I got that up here. And yeah, you can let me know. Shoot me an email or you can say something in the comments. It would be great. And because it does actually work as long as you put it to use. And it's a very helpful tool to get somewhere. I know everyone's pretty busy doing um, working a job or taking care of family that he does not always have a lot of time to work on practicing. So anyhow, this is a schedule that you could break it down into. So far we have the finger exercise here. Let me pop over to that. Let's see. Yeah. So we're doing I would say, maybe 5 minutes on the finger exercise. I call the pentatonic. So we talk about 80, but it doesn't have to be there. I think that's a good place to start, though. And maybe you can move up 10 clicks a week. Kind of depends on how that's going. But you want to make sure you don't move too soon. And there's some things you want to kind of watch for, like really got to work at keep your right hand on the guitar because that's really important. And if you it's not natural to rest your hands on the string, so we naturally want to keep our hands up off the guitar, but work at trying to keep it on there. And that's just for the single string. It doesn't go for the chords. So let me play again here, and I got to turn my volume up so I could hear it. 2, 3, 4. Big stretch. Put my fingers right next to the frets. I don't have to keep my finger there, but I sometimes do. Now where I put my thumb, that'll help me with those big stretches. You notice my thumb's more back over here, as opposed to naturally our thumb wants to be like this, back over this way. So, but you want to work at trying to gradually move it over and kind of get it more back behind middle ring finger. I probably mentioned this before. So what you could also do now with this is take it backwards. I don't know if you tried that yet, but it goes like this backwards. A little more challenging because now we got to go against gravity. So we got to remember to move our arm and change strings. Hopefully I'm going slow enough that you can play along with me. If not, it's okay. Maybe I'm too slow. All right. So there is a right hand exercise, and going up. And this is up, even though we're going towards the floor, and then come back down. So going up higher in pitch, and then come back. So let's go into our next one, which would be our quasi. So quasi, I think last week we introduced alternate picking. So that makes a challenge. And let me see, I'm going to start at 50. 40 is still a good place to be, and this one's a bit harder. So when you add the alternate pick, that definitely makes it a little more challenging. And you're trying to remember what your left hand's doing, what your right hand's doing. So that's why it's important to keep that right hand on the guitar. And eventually this just becomes a habit. You don't think about it and you can focus more on this hand. But right now we'll do this at 50. It might be a little fast for some, but that's okay. And you don't have to play it at 50 yet, or if you can, that's great. But 40 is fine. So here we go. 1, 2, alternate pick, 3, 4. So we got down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Trying to keep all my notes connected. long notes. Legato is another term. Get ready to go up 1 fret. And go back. Move your arm when you change strings. Hold on to that note, and then put your pinky up there. Move your arm. Move the arm. When you get to the end, keep going. Go up 1 fret. Keep taking it up. And you can go up as far as you want. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. So, yeah, you can just keep going. And probably wherever feels comfortable. Usually somewhere around here. You start going backwards like this. So basically, instead of going up 1 fret, you're going down 1. Still odd number of frets. So every time I get to the end, I go down 1. Down is towards the headstock. Lower in pitch. And then you're back to the beginning. So yeah, and then as you get to the quicker tempos, then it doesn't take as long to go up and then back down in a circle kind of. So try, if you feel pretty good, it's like, oh yeah, try going back down. It'll probably take you, I don't know, 5 or so minutes, but that's not a bad idea. This is probably the most challenging one of the 2 exercises, but it's the most beneficial too, because it's going to help out coordinate your fingers and your right hand picking the right correct string and finger. And so I would say if you were going to do one or of the 2, the tremolo or quasi, I would say spend more time on the quasi, because that's the one you're going to benefit the most from. All right, so from quasi we'll go into last week's chord, which our new chord was A minor. Let's see. All right, so our A minor chord, so that one's very, I don't know if you remember, it's just like the E, except on different strings, but it sounds different. So it's kind of convenient, so same shape. And so with this chord progression, you got some common fingers you can kind of keep there. So like our A minor, and then your middle finger can stay there. And then I think we're talking about switching back and forth. So you may even just do this back and forth. Coordinate your fingers, get them used to going back and forth, repetition. Yeah, and then E minor D to D, E minor to D. Then you go D to E. Then you go E to A minor. This one's interesting because you got the same shape. You're just picking up and hopping over strings. So let me play this one. I'm going to do it at 60, but we're going to do the chord progression A minor, E minor, D, E, and here we go. 2, 3 with the strum. Again. All right, so that was last week at 60, and so we have a new chord, which you already see. So speaking of C, let's go to the chord of C. So C is a very common chord. lot of songs on piano, I say a lot of songs, but if you ever play piano, you'll notice that there's a lot of chords that are C, F. I'll do the F. Here's the F. F's kind of it's hard on guitar, and then G chord. We'll get to the G, but so the C chord, it's a little bit challenging on the guitar, not so much on the piano. You're just playing the C, E, G, white keys on piano. So anyhow, but the A minor, I put this together so the A minor, the C follows A minor. So you only have to move one finger. So you just pick up one finger and move it over to the fifth string. So the ring finger is just picking up, going to the fifth string. I'm sliding over a little bit with my middle finger just to help out the reach. Try to always, if you can, try to keep your finger next to the fret. So like my first finger here is, but obviously I can't keep my middle finger there because it's going to push my ring finger out of the way. So, but once I move for my ring finger, then I'm going to slide my middle finger over too, just to help get that stretch, because that's a bit of a stretch. So, and if you're back a little ways, and you're going to get kind of a buzzing sound. So there's my, and that's because I'm not next to the fret. So if I get next to the fret, especially these bigger strings too, you want to not work so hard at pressing down and killing your fingers, and then you end up, your fingers are sore. So use those frets to your advantage and get as close as you can to them as possible. And that's for everything. With these chords, same thing with the exercises, if you haven't figured that out yet. So anyhow, and then on our PDF, we have a repeat sign, 2 double dots. And I've been repeating most time anyways, but so anytime you see music with 2 dots at the beginning and the end, you just play it twice. And that's just kind of an easier way of letting the performer know what's going on. So let's do this. I'm going to slow it down to 50 since it's a new chord progression. And let's do this 50, and here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. C chord. Slide those fingers over. E. I'm gonna repeat this and play A minor. So slide C. Hop over to D. That's a big hop. Back to E. And you could end on the first chord or whatever. Yeah, these are just exercises. So it's just a practice to get different strum patterns, and that as you kind of notice, each week there's a new strum pattern and a new chord. So A minor, C, D, E. Yeah, so I would say probably the most challenging change would be going from C to D, because you have to pick up all 3 fingers and then put them down. So what I'm trying to do, and this will come with lots of repetition, is what I'm doing is I'm forming the shape before I put my fingers down. Now I couldn't do this with my right hand because my right hand's not used to these shapes, but with repetition and practice, they will get used to these shapes. So yeah, I would say go back and forth from C to D, and that's probably the most challenging change of all these chords that you have here so far. So yeah, A, D, and E, very simple. A minor. Yeah, so yeah, and you're gonna play, you'll see a lot of C and D. I noticed with guitar, there's a lot of G, C, D. Now it's not the friendliest key to sing in for a lot of us, but we end up getting songs there. So, and then we could always use a capo if you're wondering what a capo is, you can send me a message or something like that later. Anyhow, so that's your new chord for the week is the C chord. And so then we got something brand new. Let me see if I can switch this over to our finger style. All right, I'll switch my page over here. Okay, so finger style now, we lose the pick. So I put my pick down here and could have written some more directions on here, but basically I'll explain here. So the P is, and this is all in Spanish, P-I-N-A. So P is thumb, I is the index, and the M is middle, and then the A is ring. It's all in Spanish. You can look those words up. I won't try to pronounce them because I'll terribly mess them up. Anyhow, so what we're doing is we're not using the pinky. So we only have to worry about 4 fingers. But the challenge with the finger style is it's all right hand. So your right hand is doing all the work. I'll see if I can maybe you can see, maybe this ankle, you might be able to see it better. So my thumb's going down on the 5th string, and then my first finger, and I'm not pulling like this, and that's what everyone naturally wants to do, is just pull out and away. Don't want to do that. You want to keep it very, I'd say, quiet, meaning that I'm not busy bumping around. Might look cool, but it's hard to stay consistent if you're pulling on the strings and yanking on it. So what you want to do with these 3 fingers, and I got some nails here too, that helps me out. It gives me a little more, kind of like a pick, but it kind of gives me a little bit more edge to it, a little more pop. With the flash of the fingers, it's not as punchy sounding, I guess. So anyhow, so yeah, I grow my nails a little bit just to help out with finger picking. So when I'm picking, I let my finger kind of slide off the string. I don't pull, and I don't get my nail underneath it, and I don't get my finger underneath it and pull on it, yank it. I mean, there's a technique for that, but we're not working on that. So yeah, you want your finger just to kind of slide off and off the string. So it's definitely, it's another technique that's going to take repetition, obviously. So let me play the exercise. You can see it in here, and see if I can do the metronome. The metronome. Yeah. So I have, you can see the tab there. Explain a little bit about the tab. So you got the chords. So basically, we're doing these 3 chords: the A, and then we got the D chord and the E chord. So we're just doing the first 3 chords that we started with, and then you got an order. So to understand how to read this, so the 0, when you see the 0 in the tab, the 0 just means open string. So you see there the first 0, and that's that line there. If you notice, there's 6 lines. So it's starting from, of course, it's starting from the bottom. So let me see if I can turn this around. You can see it. Makes sense. So the bottom, the big string right here, is the one there that you see. There's no numbers on it, at least in the first 2, until you get to E. Then you got the open. So that's E. And then you have, so E, then A, G, B, and then E. Anyhow, so the numbers correspond to the fret. So if you look there, you got the 0, so that's 5th string, 0. And then the 2 is my first finger. So I'm playing my A like this. My first finger is on the 2, 3rd string. So you got a 0, 2, and then you got another 2, which is my 3rd finger. So you got 0, 2, 2, 0. So, and these are right from the chord. So there is a pattern. It's not terribly difficult, but pretty much the pattern is it's going your thumb, first finger, middle finger, ring finger, and that's it. So your thumb is going to be changing strings. It'll play these 3 strings: the E string, the A string, the D string, and then your first 3 fingers are just going to play the third, second, and first string. It's going to do the same thing every time. So it makes it a little more easier, but still, it's you're still training your right hand how to hold these shapes that are, or play these, do these things that the fingers have never done before. So let me try it with a metronome. I'm going to say, all right, if I put it at 60, and it's going to be per note, it's not going to be in time. So if I do it per notes, and 4th string, then change into the D, then go to the 5th string, and here I'm going to jump to the E, and then the 5th string, and then the A, same thing at the beginning. So this is our introduction to fingerstyle, and I definitely recommend using a metronome for this, because you want to get your fingers moving, because a lot of times they just, you want everything to be perfect. And the other thing too is you'll notice, which is good about the fingerstyle, is you're going to notice if, like, if I don't have that finger pressed down hard enough, it's kind of muted. So then you go, oh, all right, so I need to work on those too. So that's one of the good things about fingerstyle is you're not strumming with a pick, you're using your individual fingers, so you kind of get individual strings ring out. So then you start catching, oh wait, I'm not playing that right. I'm muting out a string there, so I'm going, uh-oh, something's wrong there. Let me see. Let me do, yeah. So a lot of times it's really getting on your fingertips, and then trying to get I know the D chord is challenging. Try to get as close as you can to the fret. That helps. So like my middle finger is right next to that fret, and then my first finger for the D chord. This will probably be the most challenging chord of all, is that D. And so yeah, you just have to work on it. And I would say, if you want, just keep playing the same 4, that on the A chord, you just play the same 4. And you get used to that, and maybe add the, yeah, that's right. And you go back and forth between those strings. That's one way to practice it, and think about changing. And then, you could just work on each group of 8 notes there individually. Just do that over and over. Now with a metronome, I know I was at 60, and you could probably even go with 50, it's fine. It was kind of slow, especially when you're playing an individual, but it's the wrong string. So you notice with the E chord, you don't play the 4th string at all. So you could, if you want, and if you notice when I went to the E chord, I really just got my first finger there, because that's the second note. And and then I can put my middle finger up there. And then, so I don't have to put all 3 fingers down for the E chord. So there's a little bit of a shortcut, but you could, yeah, you could just leave that ring finger out if you like, and that'll get you through it quicker. But the challenge would be is with the open strings, which is great. That gives you more time to get to the chord. So you don't have to have all your fingers down when you start, and that's what we tend to do. Is we want to go and make sure we get all our fingers there, and then we go. So, and you want to get as soon as possible away from looking at your right hand and just playing by feel. So you just have to practice not looking, and just what I do, I visualize. Okay, that's the right string. Especially when I'm looking at music, I can't keep my eyes on my hands and the music all at the same time. So I have to be able to play by feel, and that's, again, it's muscle memory, repetition over and over. All right, so that is your work for this week, and you know, metronome setting, you know, for this one, it could be anywhere. It could be 40 to 50. If you're feeling like I'm feeling pretty good, let me see if I could do 100. Okay, so this will be 100 because I'm doubling it, so it'll be like this. So. All right, so that is basically everything. I applaud you. It's a lot of work, and but I think you can do it. You just have to, you know, be diligent, practice, you know, 5-6 days out of a week. That'd be great. You know, set up your practice schedule. That really helps out, and yeah, you'll get there. And just keep on practicing. If you have any questions, you can shoot me an email. But that will be all, and I thank you very much, and we'll see you. Take care.